What's up, guys? Sam, Rachel, and Antonio here with Team Motivation. We are heading up to Chicago Tough Mudder this weekend. We're going to be doing a special format of Tough Mudder.
Yeah, that's called Infinity. So it's pretty much you just like start at what, 7:30, 8, something like that, and you do as many laps as you can throughout the day.
I'm going to run.
Okay.
So we'll bring you along, and you'll get to see Chicago this time. What's up, guys? Future Sam here. Just wanted to give a quick update on how the race went. Due to traffic and parking situation, we were almost late for the start. We didn't get a chance to show you everybody all bibbed up and getting ready for the race. We also wanted to do kind of in-between lap updates and how things were going for each of us. We didn't have a pit crew of any sort, and each of us was pushing for a goal. So it was hard to stop and film. So we didn't end up getting any clips of that. Instead, what we decided to do was have a discussion post-race about how it went and what we learned from doing another one of these sorts of races. For now, we're gonna go on to day 2, where we take you out on course. So, have fun.
I'll record you, being you. Smile for the camera, Antonio. Very good.
You look amazing. How many people, this is your very first Tough Mudder ever? A lot of fit first timers. Where y'all been, man? Welcome. Yeah. Look at that person to your left, to your right, in front of you, and behind you. That's now your teammate also. Give someone you don't know a little fist bump right now, y'all. Buddies, are you ready? Count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah! You're awesome,
Come on.
He just hopped up on there like it was a sheep.
That's why he's wearing the S on his chest.
Come on, Alan, take it in! Yeah, Phil! Woo! Get it!
Next guy. Got it?
Thanks, Superman.
All right, no problem.
No. She's like, I got this.
Okay, you know what? Hold on. Okay, I might use your handle.
She says no, but maybe.
There you go.
There we go.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, it's holy around here.
Yes.
on my knee. Need a boost?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Coming up?
Yeah. All right. 1, 2, and oh, hold on, hold
Go
on.
with you. Hang on.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
I'm trying not to slip.
Let me go. Okay.
You boost?
Yeah, sure. Okay. 1, 2. Here's your foot spot.
Yeah, there it is.
Hey, you're a little muddy.
There you go.
Use DreamWorks animation. Whatever that one. On the way back up.
Got so much deeper.
I can identify walnuts.
Apparently you can't.
That was something I was unaware of.
Oh, it was great. It's so heavy. Had to go.
You're doing great. Keep it up.
So the finish line's right there? Yeah, you said good to go, right?
You okay? You got it? You're good? You got it, man. You're all over it.
Here, I got you. Try it. Ready?
Nice and done.
Going up? Yeah, you're back.
Oh, I know.
To see you out here,
I know, right?
it's like the real world. The real world.
I got it. I got it.
Good? Okay. You need boost? I got you right here. Take that. Yeah, let's go. Ready? 1, 2. Those days are long gone. Big boy, you know, buddy? 1, 2. Ready?
I will witness you, Antonio. Use those mighty moose muscles. Beautiful. And then you just fall. Cramping? No. Do you want a cramp? I do have like a shit ton of mustard in my bag. Anyway.
I'm not cramping, I'm just...
I found if you hurt yourself more, the other sort of pain goes away.
Alright, kick me in the right shin.
Alright.
It'll balance out.
Don't let him tell you how to live.
His name's Speedy. Oh, I'm telling you to be careful. I'm like, there I go. Ow.
There's a rock there.
Oh, I gotta get to my phone. I gotta add this to my playlist.
Hey, there's a hole.
You found it. You did the challenge.
They're not that fucking deep.
Wait, there's a hole.
When I slip.
You're about to drown.
I was gonna sit here for
I didn't know there were holes in this. She's up to her neck. Go ahead, Jim. You gotta hold on. I remember you guys.
With makeup on, be like, this is a person.
Well, you know what?
Using the product. Yeah.
film a lot of Infinity because we were all going. So we thought we'd take a little bit of time and talk about it now.
So for many years, those of us who were training for World's Toughest Mudder or the 24-hour race were using these normal events as training. So test runs for things like, shoes, food, all that kind of stuff. So the way it works is they give you a purple bib with a timing chip, and then when you go over these sensors, they can track you and make sure that you're actually doing laps. Everyone starts off with a 15K loop, and then from that point on, you can do whatever combination of 15K and 5K to get to a certain point. Every single one of those loops is going to have a certain number of obstacles. Yesterday, the 15K had 30 obstacles, and then the 5K had 13 obstacles. Some of those are a must complete, meaning that you cannot go through the course anymore unless you complete those obstacles. Then there are ones that are called penalty obstacles. There were 6 of those on the 15K course and only 1 on the 5K, which was very helpful. Penalty obstacles are usually something that's a little bit more difficult for upper body strength or stuff that people just can't go through for some reasons, i.e. metal in the body for electroshock therapy, that kind of stuff. And then the way that they're doing penalties now is you take penalties at the race center with wristbands.
So you start your lap with 6 of those, and every time you choose not to, or you fail an obstacle that is applicable, they take one of those away and you do penalties.
Yeah, so if you cross the finish line with less than 6 of those, you just have to do enough penalties to get more of those wristbands back.
Antonio, how many kilometers did you complete?
Completed a total of 61 kilometers. That extra 1 kilometer is very important.
But wait, Antonio, those numbers don't add up to increments of 5 or 15. Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So, unbeknownst to us, before we started the race, the announcer said, oh, by the way, the 15K is actually 18K, and the 5K is actually 7K, so that's why they add up to not increments of 5. I was able to do 3 laps of the 15K, which was actually 18K, and then 1 lap of the 5K, which is actually 7K, so that added up to 61.
What are your overall thoughts on how the race went for you?
For me, this was my first Infinity that I've ever done, so it was definitely a lot of question marks for how the whole format was going to work and how I was going to efficiently incorporate the lap format into the running. I've done a Toughest Mudder, oddly enough, at Chicago 2 years ago, so I knew the course pretty well already. So overall, in terms of running for me, it went very well. I definitely could have kept a better pace at some points, but for the most part, my pace was really good. I didn't start feeling a lot of pain until closer to the end of the 8.5 hours, and I was able to squeeze in a last 7K at the end of my 15K, so that bumped me over the edge for the 60. The weather outside was pretty much perfect. You can't really ask for better. It was overcast pretty much the whole time. The sun wasn't out, so it was a nice cool 70 degrees, so it was pretty much perfect. It was really awesome being around all the other mudders who were doing the not insane people tough mudders. We were able to encourage people who were maybe doing a tough mudder for the first time while we were, dying. But
Purple bib!
They would always yell when we were coming through so we could pass up the line, which was clutch.
What do you wish you could have done better and will do better in the future?
I wish I would have pushed myself a little bit more, because I came in with the mindset that, I'm not going to get in the top 3 or whatever. I'm not going to get any awards for this, so it's okay if I slow down here, if I walk a little bit on this point. But that's not really what the mindset I should have gone in with. I should have just kept pushing and done my best rather than comparing myself to what other people would do. That's a problem that I've struggled with in general, and I'm sure it's a problem a lot of people have struggled with as well, trying to compare themselves to other people who are doing 70, 80K during this stretch of hours. You just got to find your personal best out there and strive for that at all times. Another thing I wish I would have done differently was use the lap format a bit more efficiently. The 7K was 7K. You could do 3 laps of that in the time that it would take you, relatively in the time that it would take you to do one 18K. Maybe a little bit more per lap because you're stopping in the pit and you're doing the Everest Mudderhorn and electroshock therapy every lap of that, so that takes up a little bit of time at the end. But other than that, it's probably still around the same time if you were to do 3 7Ks or 1 18K. So if I were to have done 3 7Ks during the time it took me to do my last 18K, I would have gotten an extra 3K out of that, just because it would have been 21 instead of 18. So that might have bumped me up a little bit, but I want to do the 18K because I liked doing the obstacles.
Is there anything that went surprisingly well for you?
The obstacles.
The obstacles?
The obstacles went very well for me.
Got those muscles.
I've been training a lot for them, so that was very comforting. Even when I was super tired, I was still able to do all the upper body strength obstacles every time. Except oddly for the first lap, I missed an obstacle called Just the Tip, which is just hang on by just the tip of your fingers and shimmy across. So I missed that on my first lap, but then the consecutive laps I completed it. I didn't have to use any of my penalty bands except for the very last 7K, which I did not want to do electroshock therapy again, so I took the penalty on that.
Rachel, how many kilometers did you do?
My goal for this race was to get 40 kilometers, which is contender status for Worlds, which means you get like a special bib and then you get to like enter the start corral early, so that's really important to me. Contender status for women at this event was 40 kilometers, so that was my goal. I did 50 kilometers this weekend.
And she cried.
I did. I was very excited. My previous record at an Infinity was 40 kilometers, which I was also very excited about, but I have a new nice little shiny medal that says 50. Woo!
Woo! Nice.
Exciting. Very happy.
All right, so this was your 3rd Infinity, right? What did you learn in previous Infinities that helped you this time? And what have you learned additionally in this time, in this go-round?
Yeah. Previous Infinities, I'd say the thing I learned the most was, like Antonio was talking about, timing, like using the laps to your benefit, for sure. I have only completed one other Infinity. I showed up to the other one and then started cramping really bad and had to disqualify from that race, which is totally fine, and something that happens to literally every athlete in their life. At some point, your body is going to be like, we are not doing this today. This is not happening. So for my first Infinity, I'd say that, it was just using the laps to your benefit. I learned at that one that it's much smarter to do shorter laps if you can sustain it, because you can hit your nutrition quite a bit quicker. And if you can pit every 3 miles as opposed to every 9-ish miles, you're probably going to be less hungry and you're going to have better energy just in general. The thing I learned from my second Infinity was just that, to listen to your body. And we've all learned that lesson a time or 5 at different races, because, as I said, that's what happens. I learned a couple things new about nutrition, which happens every once in a while for these time competitive races for me. I hit something weird with my nutrition. I'm pretty sure I know what it was, and so I'm going to avoid that issue in the future so that I do not have problems on course, because that is never fun.
Is there anything that went surprisingly well for you?
What went surprisingly well for me this weekend was actually pace. I've been having a really hard time running recently because of this new possible asthma issue. And so I thought I was going to be awful this weekend, and instead I beat my previous record, which is kind of insane. And I'm still a bit in shock about that, but that's fine. But yeah, so pace went really, really well. I'm really happy about that. And on top of that, I also had a couple breakthroughs on some obstacles that I've struggled with for a long time, which was really, really helpful.
What about you, Sam? How was Infinity for you?
So I ended up doing 46 kilometers.
And hitting contender status.
Yes. Contender for men is 45K.
Just barely.
So I did 18 and 4/7 or 15 and 4/5, depending on how you want to look at the format. This is my second Infinity that I've done. In the first Infinity, I only did what was required. So to technically finish, you must complete the 15K and 1 additional lap. Last year I did a 15K, then a single 5K, just called it there. So this year, I really wanted to hit contender status, add the Infinity. And additionally, if I wasn't going to hit contender status, I wanted to at least do better than I did last year. So I got both of those goals.
Hell yeah.
I didn't really learn too much from my first Infinity because, again, I barely did it. But this time around, I definitely learned a lot more about what I need when I eat. So this time around, we all kind of shared a single bin of food, and I got into the later laps and definitely didn't have what I wanted to eat.
What was the thing you wanted to eat the most that you could not find in the cooler or bag?
It was Oreos.
We left it in the car.
That's the only reason.
Yes, I bought them. I did not remember to bring them in. Well, one thing that really frustrated me was I sprained my knee at like kilometer 19. So Rachel and I were pacing together all through the first lap. Then we hit the second lap. She had the ability to go ahead and run faster and farther, but I couldn't because I was now debilitated a little bit. It sucked, but so that frustrated me a little bit. I walked my way to 45K, which was the mantra I started doing. I got to my third lap, my third 5K, and I kept thinking like I'm not going to have enough time. I'm not going to be able to complete this. Like my pace is really bad, and like Antonio was saying, kind of took a bad mental state for a bit there, where I was like, well, I might as well just slow down now, and I might as well just not. But I got back right before Mutterhorn. A guy who had an Infinity headband on. He looked like he had, completed the race and then decided to change and just start going and talking to people, like encouraging people. He walks up to me, gives me a fist bump, and he's like, "All right, you going out for another?" And I'm sitting there like, "Well, what time is it?" Because I didn't have my watch on, so I assumed it was like it was getting closer to 3:45, which was the cutoff for 5K, and I would need more than an hour to complete it. But he's like, it's 3:05. I'm like, I don't know where my pace came from, but I managed to walk fast enough, and I got one more in. It came up right as you were finishing your last penalties for your second 18K.
That's crazy that you got back at 3:05 because I got back at the pit at exactly 3 o'clock.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so only 5 minutes after that. That's awesome. Because we met each other on our second to last laps. We collided
After Blockness.
Yeah.
I heard somebody yelling my name at Blockness. I'm like, what?
I was climbing the ropes at a Blockness. I'm like, Sam!
Sam, wait for me! I love those moments where you get like really excited because you start doing the math and you're like, oh, I actually might have this. Like that happens to me more often than not for like the last 5 to 6 hours of any of the 12-hour races, or for this one, the last like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then I get angry at myself for not pushing more. Kind of like you were saying, like
Exactly.
you start doing the math and you're like, oh my gosh, I could have had like way more than this if I just would have ran a little bit more in that one section or pitted for less. But that's why it's so good to do these races, is because this is all practice for Worlds. Every bit of it is practice for the future and just getting better, and not just for that, but also for being the best team to be.
We all improved from where both we thought we could be and from previous races.
Anybody in particular like you met on course that's memorable to you this time around?
I ran with a couple people for a decent amount of time. I am really bad with names, so I don't remember anybody's name that I met.
But if you saw their face, you'd be like, what's
But if
up?
I saw their face, I'd give them a hug, and it'd be great. I ran with this one guy who we were keeping a very similar pace throughout, I think, my whole third 15K. And we were keeping a very similar pace. We were like passing each other back and forth. Like one would walk and the other would jog ahead because the next obstacle I would pass, and then it's the same thing back and forth. So we eventually got to a similar pace, and we would like talk, and we start talking. So that was really cool. It's always cool just to find a random stranger who's suffering the same as you, and be able to share in that suffering for at least a little bit of time.
That's what I do love about these Infinity races as opposed to Toughest, because normally I do like Toughest more, but there are many people who I don't know the face of, but I have had long conversations in the middle of the night because you can't see when their headlamp is looking at you.
Yeah.
But if they start talking to you, you're like, oh, did you run Toughest Chicago? And were you at Blockness? And did you help me out of the water? And then we talked about life. And I'm like, yes! It's the weirdest thing, and I love it so much. For me, memorable people just go around outside of your normal usual suspects. I went out for, like I said, what I thought was going to be my second to last 5K. There was a dude I had finished the last lap with, and his name is Will. I like him. He's cool. We started out that next lap together, and we were going, man, what time is it? Should we do the 15K? Should we do the 5? Should we do it? What do you think? And I'm doing the math as we're going. and then we get to the split, first split for 5K going straight, or 15K going right, and his two buddies are sitting there at the split going, come on, do it. And it's like, I don't know, I might need to pit again, I don't know, like I'm not sure. And we sat there and they're like, come on, it's 1:41, come on. And I was like, all right, cool. And Will and I had kind of been talking each other into it anyway at that point. So we were like, all right, fine, peer pressure, let's do it. And then we crossed and they're like, all right, bye. And then they both left. I was like, okay, bye. And then I feel bad. I did have to ditch Will. He was walking for a bit, and I'm usually quite efficient at obstacles, so I'm in and out a lot of things in like less than 20 seconds for the long ones, 10 seconds for the short ones, because I'm just quick in and out. That's how I get my time. And at a certain point I was like, hey man, I gotta go. He's like, no, get out of here, go. But he did finish and completed. Had some really great talks on course. He is a trauma and neuro ICU nurse, so we had some good conversations there. It was a fun time.
I'm going to say the cool people I met were all the actual regular runners. People doing the 5 to 10 or 5 to 15Ks that were super encouraging and understanding about the fact that what we're doing. So, you know, the MC at the beginning, Sean will, you know, tell us every lap, hey, we've got people in purple bibs. If you see them, they're allowed to cut you in line for obstacles, because, you know, long, like especially tall obstacles like Everest and Matterhorn, oftentimes get super long lines.
Arctic, people sit there and freeze.
Oh yeah, Arctic.
I literally push people aside and like, just dive in.
I went around to the side on Arctic and I literally, people were like, they had time just barely to register that I was there before I was already in the water now.
Yeah, me
It's like,
too.
bye.
We were like, purple bib. Oh, he's already
Purple
in.
bib
He's
coming.
already all the way
Bye-bye.
through. Okay, bye.
Exactly.
All of those people were super like encouraging. They had a bunch of people had questions, and I was walking a lot, so I had time to answer a lot of the questions. And then just their cordialness at obstacles. I walked up my last lap for Everest. I walked up. There was probably the line for Everest was probably like 40 people long at each of the 8 lanes.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, obviously, I walk up right behind about 7 other Infinity runners, and walk up in front of this guy, and I look at him and I go, hey man, you've probably been waiting here for a hot second, because I can see all these people just cross in front of you. He's like, because in particular there were 2 ropes getting down on Everest, and that's where we were going. And I was like, I'm so sorry about this. And he goes, no man, like you're doing a thing. I get it. Like, it's all good. All those people who were understanding, who were happy to help, you know, watch us do dumb things.
Yeah. All right, good. A huge shout out and a thank you to TMHQ, by the way, because like they made Everest a must-complete obstacle for the first time this year, as opposed to a penalty obstacle, which it has been in many years past. And that obstacle is particularly difficult to get up without ropes.
They made it harder too.
Yeah, so it's a difficult obstacle in general. Take the ropes away, essentially you have to run up to the point you can actually grab someone's hand. At 2 o'clock in the morning, when you've got a wetsuit on and you're frozen and you're tired, there are some times if you're looking at those hands like that's not gonna happen. Personally, I've never taken a penalty I've only taken 1 penalty on Everest before this, and that was because I had a foot that I thought was broken. Secret, it was just that I kicked my shoes. Change your shoes often, ladies and gentlemen. But I've only ever taken 1 penalty on Everest because I used the rope. But when they made Everest a must complete at the first competitive event for this year, they did not have the ropes on Everest, and the pushback from the community was quite severe. If you are going to make this a must complete, we must have the ropes. And they said, okay, fine. So now the ropes are back on. A huge shout out to Team HQ, who always listens to the community and is like, yes, that is reasonable, thank you.
I personally don't like the ropes. That's just me.
Just you?
That's pretty much only me.
We will see about that at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll see about that at World.
At 4 o'clock in the morning at Texas, you're gonna be like, give me the rope. Sir, may I please have the rope? My brother in Christ, give me the rope.
Is there any other stories from yesterday or things you want to talk about?
I just had fun. It was just such a fun race. Just being out there with everybody, even when I'm dying, like even the little comments that's like when you're passing people, the little comments of encouragement. Everybody knows what you're doing, so even if I'm mentally and physically dying, those little comments just push you the extra mile, literally. All around, great experience.
I would agree with that. It's like it's exactly how the rest of the world should be. We've got a bunch of MCs that will say that, you know, and say that this positive energy you feel right here, you should take it back out and take it to your everyday normal life. But I personally think that there's like almost nothing better than running these kinds of races, because everyone's positivity and encouragement and teamwork comes out to get the thing done, which is awesome.